Hey guys, welcome back. So now that we have handled the authentication part of our app, let's now move into the actual app where in the home screen we show the data of our app. So this is a post app, so we should be able to fetch posts from the DB and display them, and we should also be able to create new posts. So remember in the first lesson what we did is that we created a post and then it was saved and then we could see it by making a GraphQL call, right? So the same thing we are going to do, but now we are going to do it from our app. So let's first take a look at where the initial post, the first post that we created, it got saved. So to do that, you need to go to services and look for DynamoDB. So yeah, basically the default DB is set to DynamoDB. So any request, anything you save is going to be saved to your DynamoDB. So in the tables, I have one table. You should also have one table if you have been following along with me. And inside items, you'll be able to see one item. That is the post that I created, right? It's the test user. So I created it using the test user that we have. But now when we create a new post, it will be created by the user which I'm logged in with, right? Okay, so let's do that. Let's log in first and then we'll see how to do it. So I put in my username and password. This should log me in. Yeah, I am logged in. So these are the posts. So these are dummy posts. So let me show you where this is coming from. So if you have cloned the repository that I added there, you'll see that there's a data constant. So this is basically an array of objects. Array of objects of the same shape that we have in a schema. So we have ID, title, description. We have owner as well, but that we are not working with right now. That will come later when we try to add the edit functionality, right? So let's now try to replace this data that we're using here with the actual data that we are getting from our DynamoDB, right? So let's see how to do it. So the documentation, the initial setup doc that we are following, it's the same link. So basically, once we have set up, we have done the configuration. So now in the third step, it says connect API and database to our app, right? So this Amplify add API part we have already done. So that's something, the defining the schema. So that is something which we have covered earlier. So we'll directly come to the part where we actually interact with our DB. So yeah, this is how we do it. Yeah, this is the example. We import API and GraphQL operation from AWS Amplify. So let me do the same for you. And it also imports the mutations and the queries that we need. So for our home page, since this is the home page, we do not have any mutation. We just want to fetch all the posts. So I only need the queries for this. I only need one specific query. So let me get that from the GraphQL folder that's generated. So it should be here. Let me see where that is. Yeah, inside GraphQL, I have queries. So let me just fetch all queries and then we can filter it. We can use the specific query when you make the request. Okay, the queries have been imported. So now to make the request, what we need to do is, okay, let me just copy the entire call here and then we'll see how that is done. So inside my home screen, yeah, let me add this function. What it does is async fetch. I don't want to fetch to do's. I want it to be fetch posts. So what fetch posts will do is const. I don't want it to do data. Let me just make this data for now, and let me log out the response that I get. And API and GraphQL operation list to do's. List to do's is undefined. So list to do's will have to be the actual query instead of list to do's. It will have to be the actual query that we need to make to get all the queries. So let's add that. That will be queries dot list posts, right? I need all the posts. So this should do it for me. Yeah, looks like it. So fetch posts I need to make whenever this component mounts. So use effect. I'll put it inside the use effect block. So what was it called, fetch posts. Alright, I think I'll need to import, yes, use effect. Okay, let's see if it works now. In our, yes, we see the data now. So data is a list of posts which has the one post that we have in our DB. So yeah, all good till now. So we just need to wire this data up to our UI now. So let's look at how the data is being passed here. It says data dot list posts dot items, right? So where was my request? Okay, so data is inside the object that we get. So let me destructure this, and I'll also need to create a new state variable to store the data that I'm getting. So let me create a new state. I'll call it data. It will be initially an empty array. So once I get the data, I'll set it to set data will be data dot list posts dot items, data dot list posts dot items. Yeah, this should have stored it in my state variable, and now I just need to use this instead of the hard-coded array of posts that I have. Let's see if this works. No, it does not. Why not? Is there an error? It says error fetching to do's. What is the error that we have? Unhandled promise rejection, error is not defined. Oh. Set data is not defined. Okay. I think it is because set data D has to be capital. Okay, so yeah, we see it now. We are getting the posts that we have been adding to our DynamoDB. So yeah, this works. Let us now try to do the same for adding posts. Now that when we add a post, we should be able to make a post request. Sorry, it should be a mutation when we add a post. So let's try and do that. In our create post screen, let me go to create screen. So let me just add everything that we have added here in the home screen. Excuse me. So there we have it, API GraphQL operation. So where's the button? On, there's a button on press, handle submit. Once handle submit will be an async operation. Alright, so here we'll need to import the queries. Sorry, here we'll import the mutations and not the queries that we have. So let's get those here inside GraphQL mutations. I've got all the mutations here. So what should it look like? Let me take a look at the docs, what they say. Add to do is this. Form state. So what does my form state have? My form state has title. I have two fields, title and description. So let me get these out of here. Let me just destructure it here. Title and description. I'll remove this, set form state. Let me make this API GraphQL operation. Instead of create to do here, we'll have our own mutations, the ones that we need. So it will be create post, and input would be title and description. So yeah, this should do it for us. Let's take a look if this works for us. I'll call it new post. Let me fill it with some text. I don't want my posts to be smaller, so yeah, 3 lines should be good enough. I've pasted them. and the submit. Did it work? Error creating to do. It says okay, there's an incorrect input. I think that is because we are missing one field here in our to do field, as in our post field, that is the owner. Yes, creating, let me make it post first. So we also need to add in the owner for our post. Like for each post there has to be owner, so that is also something which we need to specify in order for us to be able to edit and delete them. So let's take care of that. So to get the user to know which user currently is using the app, we need to go to that part where we log in or sign in, or when the app boots up, when we check for the current authenticated user. That's when it tells us which current user is logged in. So here it tells me that the cognito user is Sankhadeep, that's me. So the attributes, so that's my email. So basically what I'll do is I'll just store this, the username and my email there, in the context that in the auth context that we have, so that we can use it here to make the request. When we need to pass in a user, we can just use it here as the user. And the username also, we can, instead of the fixed user, we can replace it with a username. So whoever is logged in with it would say hello Sankhadeep, you are logged in, these are your posts, right? So let's do that. So let's see how we can do that. There are two places where we need to handle. The first part is where we do the auth, checking whether the user is logged in or not. That is where we do it. So the log that you're seeing is coming from here. So this here tells me that okay, this is the user, this is the username, these are his attributes. It gives you a lot of other data as well, as in your token and all, but I think that will be here. Yeah, these are all handled by Amplify itself. It stores it in the async storage and then uses it later to make the requests, but we don't need to worry about that. We'll just store the email and the username in our context that we have. So let's do that. So in addition to, I don't think we need is signed in here. Yes, we do. Yes, this is the app navigation. So in addition to set is signed in, we'll also have something like say a set user. So in our auth context, let me go to auth context and have a user state as well. Oh, and by the way, I was just listening, going back to the older videos and listening how it sounds. I am aware that the keyboard makes a lot of noise, so I'll try not to bang so hard at my keyboard. I wasn't aware, so sorry about that. I'll try to get a better setup for my future videos, but yeah, just bear with me for now. So initially the user would be an empty object because we do not have any data. So let me also export, as in make user and set user a value. Yes, user and set user is being a part of it. So here when we come at our app navigation JS, we can say set user user name would be user dot username, and email would be not email would be it's user dot attributes dot email. So not a string. Email would be user dot attributes dot email. All right, so this should have saved the user in our context. So now back in our home screen and our create screen, we need to consume that data. Okay, let me just delete this static data. We don't need that anymore. So instead of user, it needs to tell me that the current logged in user. So let me get use context here. Use context, and let me import context here as well. This is auth context. So here user would be use context auth context, and instead of writing hello user, it should be replaced by user dot username. Right now, no, it won't come inside item. Oh, sorry about that. It should be a part of my main home screen and not. So this is basically the item component that we have. So I just put it here. Ideally you would want to put it in a separate file, but I didn't go into the details a lot. So yeah, user is, I'm getting it from the user context. So here, instead of user, let me write user dot username. Oh, all right, that works. So now I know who is logged in. Let me try to log in with John and see if we see John here. Oh no, why does it? Okay, okay, now we know why that's happening. Yeah, that's another case we which we didn't handle, and that is the login screen. So when the user logs in here as well, we need to tell them that okay, this is the user. So currently we are just setting the signed in to true, but we are not setting the user here, right? So we need to do that as well. Let me do that here as well. Set user, I can just copy this part here. Yeah, that should have done it. Let me try to log in with John. Oh, it still says, but oh my god, I just tried it with sign up and not with sign in. Now finally, now this will work. If this doesn't work, I'll stop this video right away. Oh no, you guys will have to bear with me for a while more. So that worked. So we have got the current user. So now when we create a post, we just want to send in the owner as well. The owner would be the email ID. So owner has to be something which will not be common for other people. So I think email is pretty safe because everyone has a unique email. So I'll have email as the unique identifier here for the owner field. Okay, so I can close the login screen and app navigation. No need for auth context as well. So here, let's get user here as well in the create screen page. I need to import context. Let's get the context here. And also use context. Yes, all good. So when we create a new post, we have title, description, and we have the owner field. Owner would be user dot email, right? So yeah, let's try creating one post and see how that would go. New post. Let me just copy it. This should work. This should have saved this data. Does it? It still says there's an error. Let's see what it says now. Input has input. I still think that it has got to do with the request, and then submit. We have title, description, and owner. What am I missing here? Or maybe I need to refresh for it to work. Yeah, most probably. New post, paste. No, it does not. Okay, so let's see what am I missing. It says variable input has quotient null for non-null type string. Let me try logging this and see if user.email actually exists. Maybe I made a mistake while saving the user. Okay, it is the user.email. It has user.owner is user.email. Let's take a look at the schema. I just hope I'm not making an error. It is called owner, title, description, and owner, right? So in our create screen post, we have title, description, and owner. Owner is user.email. So yes, of course, actually, I'm destructuring form state here as well, so that should not be the case. So yeah, now I think this should work. It should have worked earlier as well, but yeah, I messed up there. Oh, not email. Let me copy over the lorem some text again. I made the request. It says unauthorized. Authorized to access create post on type post. Okay, so I just learned it the hard way that you cannot have a field with the name as owner. That's because it's probably reserved. So I couldn't see that in the doc, so maybe I made some mistake there. So yeah, anyways, I've updated my schema to look like this. So I've replaced owner by created by, and also you'd see that from our operations in the older schema, update was missing. So anyways, that the update feature wouldn't have worked with the older schema anyways. So yeah, I fixed that. I also added owner field as owner. So yeah, these are changes I made. So now I think it should work as expected. So let us try it out. Let me get my console back up. Sorry. Yeah. Now let me try to create a new post. Oh, it's logging it every time. Okay, I need to remove the console log. So yeah, let me try creating the new post. I don't see anything, which is fine because I'm not logging anything in the try block. So most probably my request did go through. So let me just check for it in the DynamoDB if the new post was created. It should be. Yeah, alright. So the new post was created by John. So created by the username is here, john@email.com. Alright. So I think that went well. I can see all the data now. The data has gotten added. So it should come up here. No, actually it won't because I have some older data here which does not match the schema. So the initial post that we have, it does not match my schema because it does not have created by, which is a required field. So I'll just get rid of this field here, get rid of this entry. So yeah, now I have the specific like I have the posts with the specific fields that are required. So yeah, a new post from John is here visible. Now if I add more posts, now it will work. No, not Google search. I copy it here and then I paste it. Yeah, I probably need to do something to handle the success part of it, to let the user know that okay, this did go through and you have successfully added it. So I'll just clear the fields. So that should look like, yeah, this guy has added the fields. Okay, so another issue right now here is that every time I come back, I need to reload to get the latest data. I mean to get all the fields that are there, to get all the posts. So that should not be the case. Ideally, whenever I add the field, I add a post, and then when I come back, the the post should get populated by itself, as in I should be able to make the new I should be able to see all the posts that are there without me having to refresh. So what I need to do is I need to refetch it as soon as the the focus comes back to the home screen. So for that, I think React Navigation has a hook. I don't remember. I think it's something called use focus. Yes, it's called use focus effect. Yeah. So I'll just use this. So what this will do is that as soon as I come back to the screen, it will fire the request again, as in I'll be able to see the new posts that were added. So how to use it? I think we just need to use focus effect, and then the call, it says to avoid running the effect too often, it is important to wrap the callback in a use callback. Okay, so we'll need to use callback here as well. So okay, let's add use callback and use focus effect. So instead of using use effect, we'll now use focus effect to do our thing. So use focus effect, and then I think inside of it we need to call use callback. Yes, use callback. Yeah, I think this should do it. Let me try adding a new post here. Another post. Oh no, it's not a mother post. Another post. So when I add some new text here, it should also clear the fields. Okay, clearing the field means okay, the request was successful, and when I come back, yeah, it added the new post here as well. Okay, so yeah, I think we are now able to create new posts and view posts that are there. Let me try to log out and check if I can access these posts with the other user. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that went well. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to be able to edit and delete these posts, but for that we'll need to make sure that editing and deleting is only available to the owner of the post. So for me, Sankhadeep, I should not be able to edit these posts. So, but when I log in with the other user John, he should be able to do it. So yeah, we'll do that as well. But let me first add some posts with my username so that we have multiple posts from different usernames and we are able to make the distinction there. So this is a post. Let me just keep copying text from here. Okay, it got added. Let me add some more posts here. Okay, I think we have enough posts for now. So now let's add the edit functionality to our app. So for us to add the edit functionality, we need to have an edit button for every post that the user owns. So if I own the post, I should be able to edit it, right? So for me to figure that out, I'll need to get the email of the current logged in user and the email of all the posts that there are. So excuse me. So in my home screen, flat list item. So if we look at the item component, so here we also have this editable boolean. So if we pass editable as true, then this field will become editable. Let's see how this is handled here. Okay, it says and design is not defined. Okay, I think I know why this is happening. I have an icon there which is not being imported. Yes, let me just bring that in. Okay, yeah. Now I see the edit button, but this edit button should only be visible for the current user and not for all the users that are that are looking at the post. It should only be visible to the one who has created the post. So let's add the functionality here. Let's see how we do that. Okay, so editable will become true only if user dot email is equals to item dot created by, right? I think this makes sense now. Now the edit button is only available for me, as in my user. Okay, so now what we want to do is, when we click on the edit button, it should take me to the create post screen with the data pre-filled, as in the text should already be there so that we are able to edit it and then delete it. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so let's do this. So the item here, on clicking the item, I need to navigate, I need to do a navigation. So yeah, let's do that. So for item should get the navigation prop, and on press it should take me navigation dot navigate. It will be the screen name. The screen name is routes dot create. I think this should take me there. Let's see. Okay, it says cannot read navigate of undefined. Navigation is undefined. Yes, it is undefined because I need to pass it to this component as a prop. So yeah, now this should work. Now when it takes me to the screen, I also need to pass it the ID of this specific post, so that when I reach to the edit screen, I can get the data for that specific ID for that specific post. Okay, routes is not defined. That is because I haven't imported routes as well. Constants routes. What happens now? So need to refresh. Yeah, good for now. So now that I am in the post screen, I need to send it the ID as well. So let me pass the ID to the edit screen. To do that, I need to pass it item.id, and then in my item component, on press routes.create with the parameter of ID. Okay, so now when I'm inside the create screen, I need to check for the route parameters. So I think I'll use route, and it will be inside route.parent. So let me log this out. Route.parents. This should give me the ID of that specific. It says undefined. Let me see why it says undefined. It shouldn't be undefined usually. It should have, route should have certain parameters. Let's just log route for now and see what it says. No parameters. Yeah, alright. I do have the ID now. Okay, let me try with a different post and see if I get the ID. Yeah, I only get 2 in 2021. Okay, that's happening because I do not have ID mentioned here. Strange, it should have thrown me an error. It should have told me that ID does not exist because I don't know where it got the number 2021 from, but yeah, anyways, now that it's back up, now let me try doing it. Now we should get the original ID, the real ID. Yeah, this is the ID. This works. Yeah, now we have different IDs for all the posts. Okay, this works well. So now what we need to do is get that specific blog post which has this ID, right? So let's do that. For that we need to make a query. So let's do that. Get post by ID. Let me just copy this try block here. I do not need anything. It will be queries. Did I import the queries? No, I need to import the queries as well. Queries, so it will be queries dot get post, right? And ID will be here. I just pass the ID, so let me get the ID from here. Const ID is equals to route.params. So yeah, whenever I have ID in the route.params, I should be able to make this get post by ID request. So let me call this inside use effect. Get post by ID. Alright, use effect is not defined. I'll need to import it. Use effect. Okay, let's see if this got called. I don't need to set the form state. Let me have this response. Let me save it to response and let's log out response and see what is the response that we get from there. So I'm here. It says the response. Okay, yeah, looks like I get the specific post that I need. So what we need to do is set this response.data.getPost to our form state. So let's destructure data here. Set form state would be data.getPost. Data.getPost. Let me try that out. Yes, okay, that went well. So now whenever we click on a post with some text, it opens up and then I'm able to fetch that specific data from there. So now what we need to do is we need to be able to edit it and then make a edit request, right? So let me change it to new title and do submit. So when I click on submit, what it should do here is that instead of this is a create request, right? But the request we need to make here has to be the update request. So let's handle this here. If I have an ID, as in if the page is a edit screen, then so the else part is when it's a create new post, and if part is where we'll do the updating post. So let me just copy this here and paste it. So title, description from form state, all right. Instead of create post, it should be update post. Yeah, update post. ID, title, created by. I don't need to send created by because this I don't need to change. I need to send ID as well. So yeah, this should have changed it. Let me change it again. New title, and when I say submit, looks like it succeeded. Did it? I don't know unless I go back and come back here. Okay, yeah, so the update went well as well. So I'm able to update. So this is the new title. Okay, all good. So now what's left for us to do is, okay, so now let's handle the deleting part, like where we delete the posts. So when we come here, we see that the title and description gets populated, but the title is still called create post, so we don't want that. So in case it's an edit screen, we want the title to be edit post, and in case of creating, then it should be create post. So for that, I have already written the logic here in the header props. So for me to do that, I just need to check if ID is present. So if ID is present, it should show me edit post, otherwise it should show me create post. So yeah, now you see it becomes edit post, and I also have this delete button here. But when I go to a fresh create screen, okay, it says ID of undefined. Okay, ID is undefined because there are no route params. Yeah, that should fix it. So now I'm just checking if there are route params. Get ID from there, otherwise try to get ID from an empty object which would say ID is undefined, and then it would fall back to create post, right? So let's try it out. Okay, now it says create post, no delete icon, and if I open an edit post icon, okay, it took some time, but yeah, we have it. The data is coming and the delete button as well. So let's figure out how to do the deletion. Let's do the delete button here. Where is the delete button? I think there is a prop called on delete. Yes, on delete post, I have it. So here, let me call it, let's call it handle delete. Const handle delete will be an async function. So I think it will be very similar to the edit mutation. So let's just copy it from there, and the form state as well. So I'll put this in a try catch block, and then I'll say I do not need title and description for delete. I just need to pass the ID of it, delete post input ID, and then I set the form state to null. I'll just log out the error in case there are any errors. So okay, let's try deleting this small post because I don't want to add another large post later. So I think John is the owner of that post, so let's log in with John. Yeah, so now we can see John sees these edit buttons and not the edit buttons across the post which he did not create. I come here and I say delete. Okay, looks like it deleted it. I come back, it's gone. Alright, yeah, I think that is pretty much what we wanted to do. There are a few enhancements that we can do. Say suppose there's this submit button, so we can add a loading property to it when the request is being made. So let's wire this up as well, now that we have completed everything, as in all the important parts. So initially loading will be set to false. Okay, loading should be mapped to loading here. Where's my button? Loading is loading, and then when I make the request, it is on handle submit, I set loading to true, and then when these try blocks get resolved, I set it to false. Same when it gets resolved but it's an error, so I need to do that for updating as well. Okay, let's try that. Another post, I think I have a title and another post there already, so just giving it a different name, and then let us copy this one. Now when I paste this and update, okay, we saw the load. It was there for a short time, but yeah, we could see it as well. And yeah, we have another poster. Yeah, another poster here. All right, so I think this covers everything that we had to do. So we saw how to set up our Amplify backend. We added a schema, and we make sure that you do not have an owner field there. That's one place where we messed up. But yeah, once that's done, when we then went over to the authentication part, where we created a user in Cognito user pool to see how that works. We changed some rules. We also wrote a pre-sign up lambda, which would automatically confirm all our users. Then we came into our app and we did the authentication part. We handled sign up, sign in, sign out, and then we saw how the navigation works, as in how to have two different stacks for authenticated and inauthenticated users. And then once inside the app, we figured out how to make requests, fetch all data, read them, update, delete, everything. So I think this is a very good starting point for you guys if you want to like experiment more. Also, there are some changes even for the login button. You can have a loader. Also, you can have a loader when the app loads up. Instead of showing the loading login screen and then jumping back to the home screen, you can have a loader there before making a transition to make things better. So yeah, I think that should be it. This changes, like the updated branch, the updated code will be there in a separate branch. I'll name it probably completed. So if you want to get started, and if you want to like look at the code before getting started, you can have it. Also, I've added a couple of color schemes for you guys to try out. So in case you do not like the blue gradient that I've added, so this is another one which you can try. So once we switch the color gradients, you will see that all the buttons, the header inside the app, they also use the same gradient. So yeah, that's how it is. So yeah, I hope this was helpful to you, and let me know if there was any issues or if you want me to improve on anything. And good luck with it. Good luck with AWS. Good luck with Amplify. I hope you guys build something better than this and then post it out there for everyone to see. Thank you.